Okay, again, this would be your home screen. Again, Engrade is just the name of the platform. It's the name of the company that built it. Okay, so this is a student's overall assessment. It's more standardized. Just like in other spaces, you don't pick where a student is assessed. It's picked for you. Okay, so you will decide on the level of complexity that's appropriate, but the test is mapped out. So students have to interact with, in English language arts, it's collapsed, so some reading and some writing, and in math, it's expanded. But you're teaching a lot more of these things, so it shouldn't be that much more difficult. They're built out for you, and you're doing a pre and a post measure. So it's a little bit different in that way. You drop kind of doing a middle data point, so you don't have 3, right? You have it built out for you, but it expands it. So I'm sure in your teaching all along you've been doing some kind of geometry, some kind of measurement, some kind of basic number sense. But you didn't have either learning progressions or like a valid way to measure those. You didn't have that built out for you. So now you have that, but students will be demonstrating their knowledge in all of them, and I try to be upfront about that because that is a shift. So you'll see laid out for you in each screen. This is Leobardo's assessment. It's laid out there. The plus means we need to work on this. The check means we're done. Okay. So I say screen 1 because you're seeing screen 1 up here. It's all one screen. The entire student performance is captured on one screen. I'm going to walk you through this, and then I'll actually do it for you, and you'll see. So data's at the top. It's all pre-programmed for you. Math, it's G.1. The access points, you'll figure out which one of these is most appropriate. Once you select it, it will pop up all the information, all the requirements for you. The graphics don't pop up. It's just, it would be impossible, especially because some of them you'll interchange. It's not going to pop up a picture of a crayon. Maybe you hate crayons, and even so, it just wouldn't be worth it. You have all those documents. Okay, so now a couple of things. It will read the date for you. If you need to change it, you can change it. I'm sure it's never happened to you, but you've started something with a student and then you have a meltdown. I'm sure it's never been part of your world. So you need to finish. Okay. Item type is up there. I'll show you what that means. Adaptations. So what are we using to do this? Teacher directions. So in this geometry standard, it's performance. I'm asking the student to do something, to perform a task. Okay. What are we using? We're using shapes cut out from construction paper. Okay. It might be using shape cards. It might be using manipulatives. It might be using an iPad game or app. Teacher directions. Okay. I showed student one shape at a time and asked them to identify the correct shape. Okay. It's taken from my directions. It's a summary statement. It's what I did. Don't worry too much about that. Okay. Student performance. Okay. So remember, right here, we have our 5 unique items. This is what we're talking about. Okay. It's all entered together. Everything gets a 0, 1 value. We either figured it out or we didn't, and that's okay, kind of how it should be. So I correctly identified a triangle. Square was a, shape was a square. We called it a circle. Okay. Correctly identified a circle. Correctly identified a triangle. Shape was a square, but we called it round. Okay. And that's done. That's captured. Okay. So I just did a detail so you can see it. And again, I'm just going to scroll through it right now so you can actually watch it in action. But this is a bit called out here. Okay, so student is identifying a story element that undergoes change from beginning to end. I'm actually going to do this as an example. I've identified it. Each performance task has 5 unique items. All the requirements come up. My date. Item type, again, performance. Will you measure something? Will I identify a shape? Will I do these things? Selected response. Is this 3 inches long, 2 inches long, 1 inch long? So selected response is multiple choice. Constructed response. I'm going to think about a time when some of my students, perhaps my high school students or in other spaces, would be actually writing or performing sort of an open-ended response type of thing. Okay? That's what that's there for. You pick which one you're doing with the student. Okay? And again, your adaptation is just calling out objects. Are we using counting rods, a bicycle for science, technology, text type, science materials? That's what goes there. Okay. So this is a piece It sounds a little bit familiar to something you know about. We use it. It's sort of for our inter-rater reliability. It strengthens our procedural validity. It is right down there, and I'll show you what it looks like on the screen. It is saying, I, another educator, a person, Leslie Siegel, am a teacher or service provider, a paraprofessional. Okay? I tested, I observed the student's independent performance on the task. Okay, so independent performance does not mean that a child with no mobility all of a sudden jumped up and sorted a bunch of shapes. Okay. What it means is that the student made a response and was not given the answer.